just crazy. But I didn't know. Everybody else like on the team was like,
all right. Let's talk about the design of the periodic table. I know it's a hot topic. Yeah, I know. Whatever. Now, we're going to talk about the way the periodic table was designed, and then we're going to talk about trends on the periodic table for 2 days. And then, for the most part, we'll be done with the periodic table. Now, for some of you, on Wednesday, you're going to come in and you're going to go, "Miss Wall, I don't get it." And I'm going to tell you there's nothing to get. Because on Wednesday, that's exactly right, it's memorization. For example, you have to be able to tell me on Wednesday where the largest atom is. If you can't tell me that the largest atom is here, and they get smaller as you go this way, and smaller as you go up, you can't apply the trend. Okay? We will have learned that on Tuesday. There are somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 trends that we're going to lose or learn. Some of them are the same, some of them are opposites, and some of them are different. You have to do your part by learning what they are so that you can apply them. Okay? If you don't learn what they are, when you come back in on Wednesday and we try to practice them, if you go, "I don't know which way atomic radius gets bigger and smaller," can you apply the trend? No. So when you come in and you go, "I don't get it," my thoughts are,
you didn't study.
You didn't study. There's not a lot I can do for you on that. Okay? You have to do your part to understand the basics. Okay? Then we can go from there. All right? What?
Units is 5.
Right.
I have no idea. I don't number them. I got no idea. Now, there's very little history you have to know for the final exam. Unfortunately, the periodic table is one of the few things you do have to know. Yay. So, you do have to understand that there was a Russian chemist.
Russian guy?
Yep.
Is he dead?
Is he dead? Yes, he is. By the name of Dmitry Mendeleev. Okay? He's a Russian guy by the name of Dmitry Mendeleev. Now, Mendeleev, all right, wanted to design a periodic table. Okay? He wanted to include the atomic masses that were recently discovered by an Italian scientist of the name Stanislao Cannizzaro. All right? Now, right. So, he went about this by writing everything down He wrote all the info down on index cards. Now, they might not have been called index cards at that time, but I'm calling them index cards just for the sake of simplicity. You guys can relate to index cards. They were small cards that he wrote the information down on. All right? He wrote down things like mass, oxide name, density. Whoops. This wall should spell that right. Etc. Okay? Yeah. Now, once he had all this stuff on the index cards, all right? He sorted them looking for a trend. And I'll let you catch up before I tell you what he found. All right, so we've got all this stuff written down on index cards. All right, I still have people who took calculators, even though I told you we would not need a calculator for a while.
It's okay, Miss Wall. Promise.
Yes, but if you have calculators on your desk, you're more likely to do what? Drop it. Correct. Knock it off your desk and it hits the floor.
Correct. Miss Wall was not the best student.
Let's not get crazy over that.
You're a good student. She ain't denying it. No. I didn't know.
The screen.
The first like 2
You
months.
give me those sedation numbers?
No, like
I didn't know.
MgO or Na2O, the oxide. The metal plus the O or the non-metal.
Same. Are those the truth?
All right, is everybody caught up?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, well, all right, 86 is here.
Y'all sis, maybe actually come to chemistry tutor. With me. Miss Wall, you think since I tutored Tiffany, I can tutor Annabelle?
Knock yourself out.
No, I'm saying like, you know, skill-wise. If I could tutor
Depends on
Tiffany,
how much you remember.
if I could tutor Tiffany,
Depends on how much you remember now, though.
I mean, dots.
All right, so he noticed 2 patterns. Number 1, all right, most of the elements increased in atomic mass. Now, notice I said most. So, does that mean all? No. That's going to be important in a minute. And number 2, elements had similar properties. He placed those in what?
Is that elements?
He placed those in what? Mhm. He placed those in groups. All right,
Always
so
spell similar on.
You said it right.
before I send you back to art.
Please don't have me.
All right, so most of the elements increase in atomic mass. What art are you in?
Art 1.
Because
Because I couldn't take Spanish too. No, with salt.
That's gonna be a lot next year when you are.
Okay. All right, so elements increase in atomic mass, and elements had similar properties. All right, you put those in groups. Is everybody caught up?
Yeah.
All right, now he had a problem. So let me grab a periodic table I can see since I'm getting to be front and back.
Green is here?
No, they're orange.
Sunday, I got
Fuzzy here. All right, so he had tellurium and iodine and selenium and bromine. All right, so tellurium has a mass of 127.6 and iodine has a mass of 126.9. So, the problem is, the mass goes down, but the properties are similar.
Look, you made a smiley face.
That was my goal.
You can tell you're happy.
All right. So the question becomes for Mendeleev. All right. Does Mendeleev switch TE and I, or does he leave them based on properties?
Because I has more.
All right, so
I mean,
what does Mendeleev choose to do? Is he going to leave them based on their similar properties, or is he going to switch them because he believes that masses should come based on numerical order?
you're gonna keep it like that.
He is going to keep it like that. All right?
Right?
Huh?
Persons?
Now,
Could you remember stuff?
can I what? I'm just standing here. I'm giving you a second.
She needs more than a second.
My boy.
This is a full class.
Right, call him Dimitri, Miss Wall, don't call him whatever.
Call him Dimitri, not Mendeleev.
Okay, on my counter. On the counter.
Say his phone.
Not yelled at.
No.
Call him Kian.
Just go. Just no. Did you hear? She's gonna get us 86. Pat, she's gonna get 86.
Listen.
In here. Just do.
Okay.
Are you
No, never mind.
I'm struggling with all I'm trying.
I'm waiting on that. Okay. So, Mendeleev left the periodic table arranged by similar,
You keep forgetting that.
I know, properties. He could not explain why mass went down. So, why on earth are we talking about some dude who arranged a periodic table that, for all we know, is wrong and he can't explain? All right? The reason we are is Mendeleev left holes in his table for elements not yet discovered. He even predicted their properties.
So this man created periodic table.
Yeah, the first one.
Why are you writing so hard?
Are
I
there
just
still
do.
not discovered?
No, they've been discovered.
Oh.
All of his predictions were accurate.
So he was time traveling. I mean, that's how.
So, with the exception of not being able to explain why mass went down, everything else he did was correct. Now, mind you, he did all of this with what?
No card.
Note cards that he literally spread out like on a table.
Well, ain't he just smart?
Okay?
Miss Wall, you think you could do that?
Absolutely not.
Yes, you can. You just
I have no interest
You
besides.
have to believe Miss Wall.
Yeah, no,
You put your mind to it, anything
You
is
don't have interest
possible.
in making people memorize the
We are
periodic.
great students.
I want to make it a respirator table.
Remember you telling Shelby how to memorize it?
Oh, stupid that is still stupid.
Well, good for her. saw you, Miss Leary.
Hmm?
Leary. Brooke.
Oh, bro. I could lie.
You definitely don't miss Diego.
Go ahead, laugh. You want me to say it from you as well?
I said no 3 times. How many times y'all want me to say no?
One more time.
She said hell no.
It was all internal conversation. I can have all that I want. All right, does everybody have what they want?
No.
Okay.
Oh, I know what I forgot.
I'm kidding.
How do you
like 3 days ago. No, like I got like that expensive $93 ticket gone.
Miss Paul, when do you work on prom? When do you work for prom?
I don't.
What? How did you get out of that?
I actually have to cover Miss Love's class the first period the day before and the day after prom.
Oh,
So she said you don't have to work it?
No, Miss Love does the prom. I will be at Ocean Isle the weekend of the prom.
Oh. Wait,
We have
She
a-
said,
Wait,
I
love
Ocean Isle.
wait, where is that?
We have a dance competition that weekend.
Oh my God.
Man, so you better get down.
I'm not dancing now. I've told y'all this before.
What kind of dancing?
Is it like cheer or like dance?
Is it like,
Shelby does. Well, she does multiple types of dance, but she's on a dance competition team.
jazz?
She does tap. That's her primary dance. So she's on 2 tap dance teams.
I used to tap dance.
And then she's part of the production team, so.
Well, when someone pushed me to say when I was pushing, I'll be OIB. I said OIB chili. Clever, yeah.
Yes, very clever. So I may be comatose by the time I get to y'all's class. Because I think the competition ends somewhere around 9 o'clock. And then we have a 4-hour ride home.
AM, PM.
That is a.
PM.
Wait, is it in North Carolina?
It's in North Carolina, Ocean Isle
I
Beach.
just came back from Emerald Isle.
But then I have to be back here to cover Miss Love's class. And then I have to teach y'all. And then I have to be at central office at noon. So I'm not going to sleep a whole lot Sunday night.
Why you gotta be a central office?
Because I have staff development. All right, now, this is, first of all, I don't speak Russian, people. So don't ask me what this thing says.
All right.
Why do you have it in Russian then?
The guy who made it was
He
Russian.
was a Russian chemist. He was-
Notes, is that right?
This is his first periodic table.
Oh,
Did you take Russian and translate
No,
it?
No, I took German.
Oh, yeah.
Now, when you look at the periodic table, first of all of this crap here and here is in German. I'm sorry, Russian, which is why I said I don't speak Russian, so don't ask me what it says.
I got you.
All right, these are in groups and periods. So, again, this is the very first one. It does not fit anything like we have, but you can see he put question marks in for elements that he said would be discovered.
Who told
Now-
you that tomorrow?
I don't know, but the reason I pulled this out is this is Mendelev's prediction. If you look at what he said would be discovered versus what was discovered, you can see how close he came. All right. This is what he predicted on the note card would be discovered. This is what was actually discovered. Again, this is what he predicted. This is what was discovered. He didn't come too terribly far off using his note cards.
Smart.
Okay. So that's why we talk about him, even though he had no idea why the masses went down.
Y'all couldn't get it?
He had them guessing skills.
Okay. So now,
Dude, he would be great at Jeopardy.
he probably would be.
Bro.
Too bad he's not alive to talk about it.
My test.
Now, so who came along to fix the issue he had?
Me.
I can never remember if he's John or Henry.
Henry John is his name.
It's not Henry John.
It's John Henry King III.
I hate getting the guy's first name wrong.
Why are there no ATs?
Oh, there is. So you have a whole bunch of.
Henry. You have a whole bunch of you at the great one. All right, Henry Moseley fixed the problem he had. How is the periodic table arranged? It's not arranged by mass. How does each element change?
Protons.
It's by protons, so it's arranged by what?
The atomic number.
There you go. All right. So Henry Moseley, down the road several years, said each element increases by 1 proton,
I got you, sis.
which we all should remember
We don't.
is atomic number. Not very nice of them,
Look, I
Kyle.
got you. Isn't it like? Well, I'm trying to help you. Wait, what's the thing where it's like there's 8 in the circle? It's like,
Yeah.
isn't it like there's that like outer ring or whatever where it has
Outer
the
shell?
but the inner shell protons, right?
Yeah.
And that has to be like
It's electrons, not protons.
electrons, and then that one's big, and it's like crazy.
She's a great analysis.
Now, if you look at, and I just rewrote it so I didn't have to flip back several boards. All right, if you look at where he had the elements, all right, does tellurium and iodine belong where they are? Yes, even though the mass goes down, all right, atomic number does what? It goes up by what? Now, since Mendeleev did his work in, I think it was the early 1900s, might have been the late 1800s, 3 types of elements have been discovered since then, and those elements have been added to the periodic table. Can I turn the page?
Yeah.
All right, so what are the 3 new sections that have been added to the periodic table since Mendeleev's time?
The bottom side and the right. Lambda, and the noble gas.
Yep.
And I got it. I don't even know what y'all talking about.
Very true.
Rescue genius.
I forgot.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Now, the lanthanides are also known as the rare earth elements. The actinides are all radioactive.
Can I drink it?
Sure.
Do you have any?
Nope.
If you could rate some homework quickly, on a scale of 1 to 10 on how hard,
What do you think it would be?
to me.
To you?
Yeah.
A 10.
8.
Hey.
Lovely.
I
Like,
said to you.
to Raquel.
To Raquel? 3.
I told you I'd send you the
Easy.
Yikes.
All right. Now, the 3 that will not react to the noble gases currently are helium, neon, and argon. They've gotten the bottom 3 to react, but the top 3 are helium, neon, and argon. They have not reacted. So they used to be called the inert gases, but they've gotten the bottom 3 elements to react, so they changed the name to the noble gases.
Inert blood
Yep.
gases.
Inert gases. Now, the actinides are unique because they're all radioactive elements. Every single one of them are radioactive. Most of them are not. Most of them decay from original elements. And then the lanthanides are also named the rare earth elements, although I really don't know why, because they're not that rare.
Miss Wall,
Yes,
did you take chemistry in college?
yes, major chemistry. I only got licensed to teach. My degree is a chemistry.
Oh, okay. Well, then, like, so what else did you do?
For you, was it hard in college?
Yes, it was.
So,
Bunch of
so should I drink Miss Wall.
What? Huh? I minored in math and majored in chemistry.
That is literally my two least favorite things.
Almost anything I wanted to do. I did not play the teeth beyond 4 years.
So, question. Does that whole C's get degrees thing?
Huh?
Does that whole C's get degrees thing?
C's get degrees work. I only had to have a C, and yes, it does.
Okay. And they're on the 7-point scale, right?
Huh?
They're on the 7-point scale, right?
No, they were 10.
Say what?
I finished with a 3.2.
It's a 10-point scale.
All right.
Wait, why did you only play the team for 4 years?
You do.
Alright. So the rest of our unit is on trends. And this is the part most of you are going to dislike because you don't like to study.
No, you're right.
Let's be honest.
You're right.
And a lot of this section, and the reason this is one of the hardest tests for most people, is this has the most memorization of any unit that I teach. If you thought the last unit had memorization, it did not. Okay? Between the trends that you have to memorize
Hey, but test corrections, bro.
and the
We get
geometries,
some
yes,
first resistance?
on this test.
Hey.
But let me be clear, because this is the part that's a little disheartening.
Oh, God.
This test has, I can't swear to it, but it's either 78 or 79 questions. Oh yeah, it's a long test.
Can I
So-
not
We're gonna need 2 class periods.
No, you get one class for you to take the test.
You're right.
No,
It's not that.
it's not that bad. Those of you who study and do well will do well on the test anyway. So the problem is to get a test correction, okay? Take 100 and divide by 79 questions. Every question is worth, Katie, take your phone over there and take 100 divided by 79 for me. Real quick. It's like 1.2. I just need the number.
I think the last test was 1.5.
100 divided by what?
79.
Probably checked over my notes.
1.26.
1.26. Now divide that by 2.
Divide that by 2.
Divide that by 2.
0.6.
0.6. So for every question you correct is worth 0.6 points.
But every point
My
counts.
point is, so in order to get a lot of points back, you have to do what?
You know, you point wrong.
You got to get a lot of questions done, and you have to do them correctly. So for those people who've come and done this before, sometimes you come and do corrections, and do you get all your points?
No.
No. You have to come multiple times to get all your points. Some of you have come and done corrections and never return, and you now know that you don't get all your points because I don't give you all your points. And I make little notations out to the side, and I'm like, no, see me for this. No, not quite. And you never come back. And you don't know you didn't get all your points. Annabelle knows because she's come multiple days in a row and we fixed what she didn't do. And other people who've come multiple days. No. Or some people are smart and they come up to my desk and they hand me their paper and go, will you check this right now? Or will you tell me if this answer is acceptable? And I go, yes, I will. Or I check it and I go, yes, yes, yes. Or I go, no, and you need to add this. Okay? But at 0.6 points, it takes a lot of corrections to make a difference in your grade. So if you make a 45, you need a whole lot of corrections to bring a 45 up.
Yikes.
I'm just putting that out there. So don't plan on, I'm going to flunk the test and get test corrections, or you're going to need to spend your life with me. And I'm only planning on about 3-4 days for test corrections. We're not doing test corrections for 2 weeks.
3-4 nights.
Oh, multiple choice.
No, it's half multiple choice, half response.
It's not that bad.
It's not that bad.
I remember.
You're
The
smart.
vast majority of you will be
She
fine.
has
She-
my
you're
notebook.
smart.
Now,
She has my notebook.
She has hers too.
But hers is bad.
Mine's called you guys.
so if we talk about trends, we're going to do 2 of them today, just so you get a feel for how it's going to work. We're going to do reactivity first because it's one we've already done. We're just going to add to what you already know.
Reactivity is D/BP as the person.
Okay? So,
I'm big. I'm big.
we've already talked about reactivity.
Oh, yeah. The lower the number, the more reactive.
Your whole body moves.
So, if we look at the periodic table, what can you tell me about reactivity based on what we've already learned?
Reactive.
The lower the oxidation number, the more reactive.
So, give me, let's do this. Let's break it into 2 parts. All right, let's do metals. Let's just talk metals. Just tell me about metals.
They're hard.
I'm talking about reactivity.
Oh, it goes in, right?
Can you tell me the most reactive group?
First.
Oxygen. Oxygen family.
Okay, I see several people hold up one finger. I heard the first group over here. I hear alkali. I like those answers. Okay? So, group 1 is the most reactive group. All right? So, can you tell me the next most reactive group? Okay? I like that answer. So, we know that group 1 is more reactive than group 2. Now, we're going to lump some metals together. All right? We know this is called the D block, right? And these over here are the P block. Who do you think is more reactive? The P block or the D block? Okay? So the P block is more reactive than the D block. Because if you were paying attention when we did this a couple days ago, who did I say was the most stable?
D block.
D block. Okay? So the D block is the most stable. And group 1 was the most reactive. Now, this is what you were supposed to know before we did the test. Okay? You should know that.
Right.
Now, the piece we're going to add is what happens as we go up or down a group. Do they get more reactive as you go up or down a group?
Because you get up more. Less. Right?
Yeah.
As you go down the group,
Down.
What does the D one say? Most.
most stable.
Okay.
All right.
Down more. Yeah.
As you go down the group, they get more reactive. Now,
You want to throw all this in your trash?
put them in recycle.
Okay.
Now, notice that I said for metals, they get more reactive as you go down. Now, those of you who are talking, shut up. Okay? If we had all A's, I could work with it a little better. But unfortunately, we don't.
Felt that.
We don't even have all A's and B's. Okay? Now, notice I specified that metals get more reactive as we go down. That must mean non-metals are not going to follow that same pattern. Okay? Does everybody have what we need? You straight over there now?
Yeah. Took one enough.
Yeah, I did. And you're going to have to use this on Wednesday. Alondra, hush. You're going to have to use this on Wednesday to do a puzzle. You do not get your notes to do this.
You said what?
Everybody hear me say it.
You don't get your notes for what?
Wednesday to do a puzzle.
Okay.
Miss Walls.
What?
Any idea on what we're doing Thursday and Friday?
Bonding.
She's not gonna be here.
Bonding.
I'll be here.
So what would you say?
It's possible the puzzle could be Thursday.
Because what would you say that this is easy? And I
This?
make it up?
Yeah.
For you.
I just want to know so I can know what.
All right. So for non-metals. Okay. So for non-metals, what side of the periodic table am I looking at?
Right.
Looking at the right.
Label mom.
All right. So again, drawing a period staircase here. Ugly one, but staircase nonetheless. All right. This time I'm going to label which group that will not react at all. Okay. So the non-metals, okay, group 18 will not react at all. Doesn't really matter, I guess. I guess I can get rid of that because it doesn't matter that it's non-metals.
We know that.
Yeah.
We don't.
It says
it right there.
I already wrote it. If you wrote it, it's fine. Maybe you write. I don't need to write it twice. Okay. If you wrote it, it's fine. It's just redundant. Now, Which group did we say is the most reactive of the non-metals? Okay, so group 17 is right here, right? So group 17 is the most reactive. Who would be the next most reactive? Okay, next. And one more. All right. Now, so for them, how's their reactivity going to work inside the group?
Opposite.
Okay, so they're going to get more reactive as we do what?
Go up.
That's right. All right. So again, I'm going to write it right over the top of the arrow. All right, now, do you have a periodic table that you can see that has some symbols on it? I don't care if it's the orange or the color-coded one.
That's why there's no one sit right there.
Where?
Right there.
That's the kind of seat.
You can sit there. That was my seat. Wait, shut up. I'm sitting in a seat with a woman with an STD. Kidding. Oh. Ma'am. Try it again. Say it again. I said try it again. I can say it louder.
All right, no, let's not. All right, so if I ask you, who is the most reactive metal? The most reactive metal.
Francis.
No.
Somebody. Francis. Why did you give me the point? Francania.
You have taken the class. I want you to shush.
To shush.
Okay? Now, why is it francium for those of you who didn't answer?
Yeah.
What exactly?
What exactly are we looking
Who
for?
is this Francania?
Which group did we say was most reactive for metals? Group 1. And what happens as you go down the group? It gets more reactive. Okay? So, francium is the most reactive metal.
Okay.
Are you with me on that?
Yeah.
Because it's in group 1 and it gets more reactive as you go down. Are you with me on that? For those people who didn't say anything a minute ago because you were like, I don't know what that woman's talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, you shush this time.
I know the next one.
I know you do. You could even anticipate the question. So shut up.
So shut up.
Right.
All right. What's the most reactive non-metal? I don't want to know.
It's not.
It's not helium. I hear the right answer, but I hear a lot of wrong answers too. All right. What group is the most reactive? What happens as you go up the group? So what's the answer?
Fluorine.
Yes.
Bro, what is No, but like, what are we gonna do? Like, it's just over there.
Now, why was helium wrong? It's a noble gas. Okay, it's a noble gas. Now, hydrogen was not necessarily a terrible answer. All right, but it's not the most reactive because it's not in group 17. So it's not going to be as reactive as fluorine. Okay? No, hydrogen.
What? Oh.
Because it's in group 1.
I know.
All right. Now, our last trend that we're going to use before we practice is density,
BP.
boiling point, melting point, and hardness for my students who were yelling soft a while ago.
Soft disgusting.
Now, this trend is all the same. And the nice part about this one is it's the opposite of reactivity, so it makes it easier to learn and keep track of. Now, did you learn about the Mohs scale in earth science, talking about the hardness of rocks?
No.
Yes.
Okay, somebody did.
No,
Very
the
good.
answer is no, so just go ahead and explain.
Oh, a diamond's really hard.
Yes. Okay.
It's still
like
like
a triangle. It's like is it like the triangle?
Probably. Okay. But if you learned about how hard rocks were, you have the same kind of scale in chemistry about how hard metals are. Some metals are very hard, like titanium is very hard, platinum is very hard, iron is not, or is pretty hard, but gold, silver are pretty soft. Lead is pretty soft, so they're very bendable. All right. So when we talk about, all right, density, boiling point, melting point, and hardness, we can group them. There are exceptions to that rule, of course, but as groups of metals, which one do you think would be the hardest or the most dense or the hardest to melt? Would have the highest boiling point and melting point?
Okay, you just.
I'm going to get you a muzzle. Go back to art.
What'd she say?
Okay, she didn't say anything. Where do you think on the periodic table those elements would fit?
Great question. At the bottom. Like
All right, the transition elements. All right, the D block. All right, because Jayla said I said titanium, but it's in the transition elements. All right, titanium is one of the hardest metals that we have up there. Okay, and it's a transition element.
I have a question.
What?
And it's like, it definitely has something to do with this, but maybe not all the way. It's like, I always see this video on Instagram, and it's like, they take a thing of coal, hot coal, and they stick it in peanut butter.
Oh,
And then they stick it in ice, and it turns into like a crystal. Can we do that? It has something to do with
Have a science fair.
Yeah,
it
says something about
something.
it and like it warms it up, and then like it takes, and then you start rubbing the coal off, because after you freeze it, it just turns into a crystal. We should do it. We should.
No.
We should
All right.
think about it.
I'll think about it. No promises. Now,
Maybe like after the exam. Yeah, after the exam, because we're like all by ourselves in here. We should like just bring a thing of peanut butter, some coal, and some ice.
yeah,
Code blown everywhere.
yeah. All right, what's after the D block? What do you think? We're not going to do anything with the F block. Forget they exist.
BP.
Can I not guess?
No, you cannot guess.
So what? P.
What?
That's wrong.
So
if we got,
probably not gonna have
so then
that.
it's group 2, and then it's the opposite.
Okay, Karen. Okay, and well, hold on.
So it's the opposite of what?
This don't even
It's the reactivity of metals.
Oh yeah, you did say that.
Karen, you sound really smart. I'm proud of you.
Karen, I'm just reading.
No, you're a genius.
Right, so y'all, I'm also the expert right over here.
And you're a genius.
All right, so it's the opposite of reactivity of metals. Okay? So that makes it easier for you guys to keep track of. All right? So it's the exact opposite of reactivity of metals. So we've done 3 trends today, but 2 of them are the opposites of each other. Okay?
Which is the what?
This one that we just did is the opposite of this one. We said group 1 was the most reactive, right?
Yeah.
And D was stable. And here we said what? Who was the greatest? D. It's the exact opposite. Okay? All right, let's see if we can do this.
God help us. Okay, Miss Wall, you did not have to say. How old are you? No, yeah, she's eating the kids. Not gonna lie.
Not so random, like the whole hey, they're not that packed. They're only 140 calories.
I know.
Like this long.
I got
They're like protein and like they're not that packed. They're 440 calories serving one size meal, and then like I bet if
Is that right? Okay, they're still toxic. And y'all need to you know what? Because your appendix should go better. Your liver. I'm here for you. Oh, yeah, that's all I said, don't tell us my potatoes. Yeah, but that's like weird.
You see the guy brain.
And the chicken nugget, ew, it's wall.
I only pulled it out when you said
Mac and cheese, corn.
Whoa.
The only problem with that. I don't know. It's like nothing. Hey, I'll leave it for you. And then have a piece of bite. It's not bad. No, I don't even enjoy this. That's just like crust. Why not get my I guess y'all three. No.
You're going to hand it back. Let's see.
What? Try it. She did. It's right there. This wall. Can I write the notes now?
Yeah.
Can I use the board? I accidentally broke this. This is great. I want to try one of those. They are pretty good. Is this the first one?
I'm the answer.
How am I supposed to?
Sandra, I love
I'm
you.
so confused.
Okay, I'm the answer. Come on, quickly.
Okay, this is not.
Sorry.
I do not know these at all. Which metal is
In the first one, you need to find the groups they're in.
Right.
Figure out if you have any in the same group. If they're in the same group, you gotta figure out if one's above the other. Right?
Is it right?
So the first one says metal, you're looking at group 1, group 2, P block, D block. If they're any that are non-metals, you can automatically chuck them.
Let's talk about bars.
Yes, yes, yes. If you haven't said metals, you're always looking at things that are down here below that.
It's disgusting. I told you that white ball.
Okay, so I'm in the reactive. Non-metals.
They sell that really, really big bag at Walgreens. Oh, they're not that big. I'm not gonna buy it. They're so flavorless. They're nasty. No. It tastes worse than like Lay's potato chips. If Lay's had a child. No, with air. It's with breath. That's kind of like breath. That's where it's from. You like having to sit next to somebody. It's fun. We were laughing the whole time. I'm not that bad. We're making fun of people.
Oh, yes.
I like to pick on people.
And we like to make them that.
Yeah.
You just go sit there and eat my beans.
I hear that shit one more time. You just took out my tissue.
I did, so I can give you some beans. Now take my bag.
Whoa, you got some of them, you need to give me some of them little crackers. I know you've been having them here.
What's number 5? You're just telling me they're gross, really.
They are disgusting.
But then the aftertaste is not that.
It tastes like peas need to stay in the ground where they belong.
I am sick. I don't taste it. You are just letting it go.
She's trying to put. She don't care. I mean, she let. You know what?
I mean, I'm sick, so I fall with that.
It's like you ran out of food at 3 a.m. That's the feeling you have in your house.
No, I don't know how to do this. They're not. Like, I would still eat them.
No, they're disgusting.
They're not disgusting.
They are.
I'm scared
take a shot with you?
I hate peas.
That's what we
It really is a white people thing. I haven't ate peas in like 3 years. It's disgusting.
Let me try.
You have to eat like a whole bit.
Is it nasty?
I want to eat that. I don't know. Like,
No.
Okay.
Well, that thing is
What did we try? Fall here, pick this up. Emma, come spill this.
Are you okay?
What are we doing?
Okay. I like the blue one's the best. With the disgusting.
One point is
I like the mango.
Big room two.
Not from, just like
Pete, or he is the highest.
Wait.
as well.
Say that again?
I'm gonna take a Hershey's Kiss out of here.
No, you're not. Get out of my
Like
lunch
this.
box.
That taste is in my mouth.
No, get out of my lunch box.
Here we go. Village.
You're trying to steal my food.
Ms. Walsh is helping you out, girl. You trying to get off those pills?
I still finished it, but it was like $11.
I tried to take it.
Anybody knows? It was $11. So
Most of the time, sometimes I just.
but it was terrible. And the
It was
elevator,
so
the elevator that looks really pretty.
Yeah.
I did not like it.
I think it's the text that's showing y'all. It was excellent. All of
It's
it.
supposed to be soft and hot and cooked and hot.
I would try to take a
Not crunchy and I don't even know how to say it.
I feel like I'm a gag, but like maybe.
I just made $30. So I'm like, I got like $70. It's not okay. I'll get paid for
So boiling point and melting point.
That worked 6 days.
That's just how I felt like.
But it didn't work last week.
The boiling point is
So those
like
nice things.
those that
But more than $50.
so tired.
So let's. It took 7 hours a day.
Group one has the lowest boiling point and melting point.
Today's 6
And then,
days.
you know, they were like,
Yeah.
they were tired to go to group D.
It's 3 hours times 1, 2, 3. She only works an hour.
Then they get hired to go work.
Let me get this straight. You're giving me crap about peas and you're drinking some kind of
So
green
she actually likes it.
I was giving you crap about peas.
Was it you who said they're supposed to be cooked?
Miss Wall.
No, delicious.
Oh, okay.
And this isn't bad.
Excuse me.
I don't know what's up with y'all in this healthy bullshit. I need to shit.
If you're drinking green,
I
brown.
don't want those. It's so the big thing.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I got my own.
It tastes like good.
Do not go to Walgreens.
Did you put on
It tastes
your
like veggie straws.
I've had veggie straws. We've done walk.
I don't like the yellow veggie straws. It tastes so much like Lay's chips and regular original Lay's.
Now I know what it is.
Just walk.
What? No, what?
Faith.
Yes.
I sound like
Who sounds like
I say that. Me.
Why?
I don't know, my voice might crack. And I want that thing that's in your mouth.
Hey, she got the best.
Alright, can we go over some answers?
Yeah.
Question?
Hey, Miss Wall. Miss Wall.
No. Alright. If we look at the answers, which metal is most reactive?
You can get it.
Hey.
Alright. So, is everybody okay with fighting the groups?
No, but like.
Do you need me to walk
They're in
through?
the very front, the stretchy part. Go all the way down.
What?
You can reach this one? Yeah, it's all the way. This is not making this
Can I steal the board for a minute?
Yes.
Thank you.
So where do you go?
To the
Oh.
All right. So for Annabelle. All right, Annabelle, you with me?
Yeah.
All right. So this is in group 1. This is in group 2. This is in group 1. That's in the D block. You with me?
So D is out.
Okay. Because it says most reactive, we know group 1 is more reactive than group 2, more reactive than P, more reactive than D.
So B and C are out.
Yep. So B and C are out. So what do we know happens with metals? It gets more reactive as we do what? Go down. So if it's more reactive as we go down, that tells us it has to be what? That's how they do it with A. You with them on how they do it with A?
Wait, no.
Yeah, sure.
All right, where you lost faith? I need more than I hate my life. I need some input here. Huh? What are you on with the B1 thing?
Yeah, and then we're
All right. So most reactive nonmetals. Group 17, group 15, group 16. What do we know about lead? Is a metal. And the question says non-metal. So it has to be out because it's a metal. Okay? So, which one has to be the most reactive non-metal? Has to be A, because group 17 is more reactive than group 16, which is more reactive than group 15.
Are the tests are the questions on the test gonna be like this?
Yes.
I can do it.
We're gonna have to like read what you just put.
Well, I'm not going to ask you to write that out, but that's the thought process.
I can't do like
This long?
But
When's it test?
either next Friday or the following Monday, most likely. Takes about pretty close to 2 weeks to do it all. All right, which element has the largest density? D block is greater than P, is greater than group 2, is greater than group 1. So which one is it? That's a group 1, D, P. This is a P block, but it's a gas. So is a gas going to have the largest density? No. So, which one would it be? D block.
Let's go.
All right, lowest boiling point. All right, it's the same trend. Density, boiling point, same trend. D is the highest, then P, then group 2, then group 1. This is the P block, group 1, group 2. So who has the lowest? All right, element that's the least reactive. What group on the periodic table did we say is the least reactive?
No gases.
Noble gases. Melting point is the same as boiling point and density. Okay, same trend. So there's the D block, group 1, group 2, P block. Who has the highest melting point? A, because it's in the D block. Now, I know I wrote 7 and people think it looks weird, but a -3 ion is the same as a -3 oxidation number. That's the same question. Okay, so this is +3, +2, -3, plus or minus 4. So who has a -3? All right, who has 3 outer shell electrons? Al. Now, these last 2 questions are based on the fact that you guys can still do
Periodic table of.
1 electron, 2 electrons, 3 electrons, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. That's not going anywhere. +1, +2, +3, plus or minus 4, -3, -2, -1, and 0. That's also not going anywhere. Okay? If you can't do outer shell electrons and oxidation numbers yet, you need to learn those. Those two things are not going anywhere. Okay? Any questions? All right. Let's talk homework. Yes, you can hit that X in the corner. And then pull the notes back up from the bottom. All right. Okay, so here.
How'd you do your little full screen thingy?
The blue thing with the white and blue box right there. And then come down to full screen.
I'm scared. Oh,
A scavenger hunt? Oh, this is not
Z.
You gotta go outside? I have allergies.
Run around all you want. You don't have to go anywhere.
I'm not ready yet. We had like a last scavenger hunt in my second class. Last one, like I can't hold hands. Did you have to
Yes.
left over?
Alright. So let's talk about this one. This is the easy one. Alright. Now I cut down with the cheese on this assignment because it was really wordy and I got rid of a lot of it. Alright, you and your friends are magically transported inside an 18-room castle built by the famous chemist Demetrius Mendeleev. Each room is entirely made of one of the elements on the first 3 periods on the periodic table. Did everybody hear me say that?
Yes.
That means you cannot pick an element that is not in the first 3 periods. Okay? Which means there are 18 elements in the first 3 periods.
Oh, my Lord.
There are how many questions?
18.
Every element is going to be in the next sentence used exactly 1 time.
So you gave us a key.
I did. No element is repeated. There are 18 elements. There are 18 questions. No element is repeated. All right? Each element will appear in its solid, liquid, or gas state. If you learn that hydrogen is a gas, the clue that it matches with is still a what?
Yes.
Still a gas. It retains at room temperature. You do not know where in the castle has been transported. A holographic image of Mendeleev will accompany you on the journey, giving you clues to help you determine which room you're in. Now, this is not difficult, people.
Okay.
Yes.
She said periods.
You suddenly materialize into a room made entirely of shiny metallic solid. This room has been constructed of a lightweight, corrosion-resistant metal composed of 3 valence electrons. What group has 3 valence electrons?
What is valence?
Outer shell.
Oh, 3.
3 outer shell electrons. And you have 13 protons. Which element has 13 protons? What AL on the line? You got it?
I'm gonna put AL in boiled. And you said shiny.
Okay, I knew it.
Okay. Now, you're going to answer the remaining 17. Everybody got that one? All right.
What is
Assignment number
valence
2.
again? Outer shell.
Huh?
Outer shell.
Valence is outer shell.
What is bright yellow crystal?
Somebody figure it out.
You think
It says you have 6 valence electrons. There's only 2 elements in that group, and one of the other ones is a gas. It ought to be pretty easy to figure out. Look at the periodic table.
How can a room be made out of gas?
All sides. It's all sides. Is that right?
Yes. My point in this, it's not that hard. I second the
Hold on. This is homework.
Yes, I told you got two of them. You look at the board.
Whoa, I got
Yours up here. Thank you. Bro, I am a boss at passing out paper.
Guess who came on? What is this?
Assignment number 2.
What are you doing, man?
Yes.
Oh my
Let's
God.
talk about number 2. This is one you might need help with before we all go ballistic. Bites.
Go crazy.
Hello.
Go stupid.
What's the back for? You got a graph.
That joke is.
It's a graph. Now before you people go ballistic, y'all learn the graph.
No.
I'm pretty sure y'all can draw a graph.
No.
Some of y'all can even draw animals and color them with a graph.
No.
So I'm pretty sure you can draw a line.
No.
It's not a straight line, it's a line. I'm pretty sure I can go talk to Miss White and we could have a really in-depth conversation about how bad y'all are. However,
Wait, Faith, you're not in Miss Weiss for time.
we're gonna draw a graph. Now, if we look at number 1, it says use a pencil. I strongly recommend you use a pencil, by the way.
Don't use
Turn your graph sideways, meaning this way. Okay? Because of the way the axes are going to be labeled. Alright, label the horizontal axis atomic number and the vertical axis atomic radius. Hint, hint. Don't forget to label your axes because I will take one for all. Alright? Set up the appropriate scales for the data provided. I'm going to help you with that here momentarily. Plot the data on the solid line for this. Alright, so tell me this. How many atomic numbers do we have? 54. Now, I will tell you, there are not enough lines to go from 0 to 54 on our horizontal axis. You need to count by 2s. So from 0 to 54 by 2s. Now, if you skip lines, you're counting by 1s, people. Okay? So 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Got it? Each line needs to be a 2, 4, 6, 8. Do not skip lines. You're going to end about where my finger is. Okay? At 54. Number it. Do it now. 0 to 54. Count by 2.
You want the whole top?
Yeah, right there. Horizontal. Atomic number, 0 to 54. Count by 2s. Do it before I die of old age.
I think we would have enough.
You like my drawing?
Okay.
It says choo.
Very nice. Great space rocket.
I'm
That's
gonna
why you're
not
an artist.
Actually, they are.
Wait.
This one. Yeah.
Okay, so, why don't we just go like 2 and then skip a line?
You will not get 54. You will run out of space.
You'll get 51. If you get I just looked at the wrong thing.
I do know. You're
Its ears are lopsided, but she won't notice.
So for the horizontal from 0 to 54, we need to put, so like roughly like vertical axis. No, for the horizontal, we need to put atomic number right there.
Can I draw a choo on your board?
No.
There,
Alright. Everybody got 0 to 54?
No.
Yeah. God, people.
Alright, dear
not
God.
that hard.
Why are we praising Jesus? This is chemistry.
We can try Jesus.
Give me a Hindu name and I can praise him too.
Is that right? What are we doing atomic radius?
Is it okay if like if the lines get in the way, there's like you kind of go.
Yep. Not an issue.
No.
Alicia, look.
Yes.
Alright, how about now? We have 54?
I'm not 46.
Oh, man.
Well, what number is wrong? I'm an artist.
You got there. Wait, no rows on.
That's not an art line.
I'm an artist.
Yeah. Yeah. This is supposed to be real.
Right. Gonzalez caught up. So on the blank, tell me what the biggest atomic radius is.
Fishing board.
Can't even.
2.0.
148.
2.1.
2.03.
I think that's one bigger. 2.16.
Yeah.
What is that?
Alright, so we gotta go from 0 to 2.16.
Oh.
What is there?
So what would be a good interval for us to use to go from 0 to 2.16?
0.2.
0.1 is a great interval. Alright? So we need the number by 0.1s.
Going up.
Going up. So each line is 0.1. So 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4. What happens when we get to 0.9? What's the next number?
1.
1. And then 1.1, 1.2. When you get to 1.9, what's next? 2. Just checking.
What should I draw?
Right.
Okay, we're going up.
What should I draw?
0.01.
I know I'm draw.
And when you get, well, we're only going to 2.16, so when you get to 2.2, you can stop.
2.2.
What?
When you get to 2.2.
2.2. Stop at
2.2.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
I did it like.
3.1. 3.2.
Hurry up,
I'm bugging about my shoes.
Hurry up. I mean, you ain't checking?
Another time.
No.
Are we numbered?
No. Wait, how are we numbering this?
0 to 54 on the box. By 2. 2.2.
So it's like after 0.9 you go to 1.
And then how do we do the side?
After 0.9, you go 1.9.
Paul, how do we do the side?
0.1s.
You said it's in atomic mass.
Atomic number. Atomic radius.
Oh, atomic radius.
Everybody there now? Got it numbered?
If you don't leave me alone, I mess up because of you guys talking to me.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
Okay, I'm at 2 girls.
Then how we finish before you? We're talking.
Are we done?
You just have to write 2 more numbers. How long?
I'm down.
You said I'm at 2.
Oh.
You're like.
I drew a cow too.
2.2.
Okay.
What do we go to?
I take it to my computer, but then I want it. Because I'm gonna take them to my computer.
I really like fettuccine. And then it says all that. It doesn't even make sense, but it's funny.
Why is it like?
I know.
What is that?
Yeah, he brought me flower like all. It has 5 feelings.
In order.
Well, it's a bad
What'd you do to it? You poisoned it.
I have another one in my
You poisoned it.
Can I have it?
Alright, we should have had time now. Alright, so if you look at the numbers.
Wow.
Alright, this is not a, dude, pay attention. This is not a scatter plot. You have to connect the dots and draw it as a line. Now, I'll tell you now, it's an up-down zigzaggy line. Okay?
Okay, I get it.
Okay? So, it also has to be connected to the origin. So, the first line you have, or dot, is 1 and 0.3. So, find your 1, which is going to be between the 0 and the 2.
Right.
And estimate 0.3. Put a dot there.
Whoa.
You do not need to put an H above it.
You mean
Slow down.
0.03?
So 0.3.
We have
There is a
it.
0.3. Isn't there?
Yeah.
Okay? And a 1, put a dot there. Then go to 2, and 0.31, put a dot there.
Bro, I didn't do it like that.
You don't have to estimate, it's just a hair of.
I did not do it like.
I did .02.
Huh?
I did .02.
They're fine, girls.
That makes no sense. How did
You were supposed to go before.
I did not do it right. Is this right?
you skip like
It's not
90
hard, it's just
number
time.
places?
Oh my
So, give me your phone.
Wait.
Wait, what did you say?
Never mind.
2.1.
Oh.
Oh.
So 2, 0.3, so they're just going
Oh.
more.
That is
Okay, now I gotta read.
I got
What?
all the way
It's
up.
gonna be so
Yeah,
epic.
show me.
Do we have to connect the point?
Hey, you had like calling me.
Now, I will tell you.
Do the work.
Now, if I were you, because I know what the next question is going to say to you on the other side, I would label my points that are noble gases. So the one you just drew and labeled, it was HE, write HE beside it. When you draw the dots that are the noble gases, label them. Okay, so when you get to neon, label it. When you get to argon, label it. Okay? Because you're going to need it for question 1 in the analysis. Now, this paper, you might find internet resources that are helpful when you get to the questions. You should be able to answer them without the internet because you should be able to read the graph. But if you get, and you're like, I can't read the graph, feel free to use the internet to help. Yes, Rocket.
So we go in order.
What's the name of this?
Oh,
yes. Answer key,
I haven't had very many people successful with that, so I'm not sure there's an answer key to this. Because I haven't found anybody who's gotten 100 yet, in all the years I've been doing it. I will tell you there's an answer key out there to the first one, and it's wrong.
Are you serious?
Wrong.
It's is that right so far?
The only people who've gotten hundreds on it are people who don't use the answer key.
Am I gonna watch my favorite graph? Am I getting credit?
No, but I'm very pleased.
What is really very heavy on the has a melting point of 1300 Celsius. It's gonna be I'm so crazy.
Come here now.
So I think the other one.
Upon the interruption, teachers that have first lunch, students will be able to eat in the cafeteria today. Just remember to keep the volume down and do what you're supposed to do in the lunchroom. Thank you.
What did you say? I didn't hear it.
First lunch, be quiet.
Yeah, so walking and don't get
Is that why they have eaten their friends?
You can't be quiet when you gotta put all the kids for the cafeteria.
So do we not do that a lot? And we second lunch is lemon broth. Second lunch is chlorine has like
This one, I heard that RN. Oh,
or is that for
no, this in the 80s.
This one has
Consider a recording for it, I think it's for
This will take a year to have.
Right, this is too much.
Why you suppose this is third?
I don't know.
Third.
Third.
Ha! Kevin.
Instead of birds,
It works.
What's seven?
It was like that. And I'm like, wow.
maybe it's 7.
So are you gonna miss me on Thursday, Friday?
Of course.
Anyway, where you going now?
Thursday, I have a yearbook convention.
You gotta tell
So I
me.
can make the yearbook for next year, and then Friday, I am gonna be in Virginia for what not diamonds, whatever. So that's not part of it.
Actually,
And